afternoon, and welcome to Prescott Talks. I'm Pat Kuykendall, the guest host today of the podcast, and I'm happy to have Mitch Padilla, who's running for the Prescott precinct of the Justice of the Peace. Welcome, Mitch.
Hi, Patrick. How you doing?
I'm doing good today. Can you, in our first segment, we talked a little bit about you and the community efforts, but can you go a little deeper into your education and what that will bring if you are elected to the Justice of the Peace position?
Well, my education, I am an attorney, and I earned my Bachelor of Business from Chapman, what was Chapman College when I graduated. It's now Chapman University, and this is in Southern California, Orange, California. I went on, got a Master's in Business Administration from the University of San Diego, and then went on to Thomas Jefferson School of Law and received a Juris Doctor in law. I will tell you that I did all of my college education at night while I worked full-time. The bachelor's degree I earned while I was full-time active duty, and then once I went out into the business environment, I picked up my MBA and then my JD degrees.
And so you said you were going to school at night, and you had already gotten, or you were still in the Navy Reserve. And then what were you doing in your civilian career at this time?
Well, actually, that was my Navy active duty time.
Okay.
After leaving active duty with the Navy after 6 years, I hired into a management position with a company that was known as Pacific Telephone at that time. And 25 years later, I left that company, and it was known as AT&T at that time. I was a communications manager during that time. I had a variety of different jobs, but primarily that was the main function. Just full-time work and trying to better myself, make a better life, better living, and went after my MBA, and then knowing I was going to leave there at some time, and law had always been of interest to me, so that's why I pursued a Juris Doctor degree.
Outstanding. And you did 22 years in the United States Navy. Can you talk a little bit about your career and your highlights of your service in uniform?
Yeah, actually, I look back very fondly at it. I think all veterans can look at their service. When you're going through it, there's those tough times. There's just no getting around it. Demands on your time, spending time away from family. And then once you've put that behind you in your life, you look back at it, and there's a lot of fondness. There's a lot of things that you feel like you accomplished. For myself, my first 6 years, right out of high school, I was 18 years old, and I was an electronics technician. And I was assigned to a ship called the USS Bristol County, an LST, landing ship tank, but for those that were stationed on board, we refer to it as a large, slow target. And we used to haul Marines around in the Western Pacific. So I did a couple of tours, ended up getting off of active duty, took a break, went into the business world, and then I reaffiliated with the Naval Reserve and did 16 years in the reserves. In 2002, I was recalled to active duty in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, and I spent the better part of 2003 in Kuwait.
Wow, so deployments and Navy reservists. So, that's the interesting facet of the military now, is the citizen warrior. And, being able to juggle family and juggle career and juggle school. How did you do that time management with all those different responsibilities?
It's a challenge, no doubt. When I was still working full-time and in the Naval Reserve and going to law school, I just finished law school and then was recalled, as I said, to active duty. It was just a continuous juggle. My wife, Lori, she did a terrific job, and knowing that I can step away and take care of the things that I'm committed to, and that home was being taken care of with our daughters, it's a great feeling. So
it seems like that time management has now transferred into your civilian practice and all the things that you do in our community.
Yeah, I guess when you step back and you look at it, I just can't go home after work and sit or just hang out. I've got to be doing something. And this is exactly what I'm doing, from mock trial coach to being on boards to running for election. I know I'll be doing something in the evenings even after I win this election come August.
So you said in the earlier segment that you had two candidates you're running against. What makes you stand out against the other two?
Well, I'm going to go to the theme of my campaign, and that's ethics, honesty, and involvement. And I will tell you that I believe ethics is what defines you as an individual. The honesty that you have when you're sitting across and speaking with somebody. In private practice, just as an example, I sit down in criminal defense. So I sit down with somebody and talk through their case with them. And I'm as honest as I can possibly be. No promises, no guarantees. This is the approach. And that's developed knowing what the objectives are that the individual has when they come in. And many times, you do not have a client hire you. And that's okay, because when they walk out the door, one of the things I tell folks all the time, whether I see you again, hear from you again, or not, I go, I hope that when you walk out my front door here at the office, that you walk out with more information than you had when you walked in. And if you feel that way, and whether you hire me or not, spread the word. It's a pay it forward. I try to provide a service whether I'm being paid for it or not. And that's the honesty that I do try to convey.
So how many, just kind of an estimate, how many cases would you call them that a justice of the peace would see in maybe a month or a quarter or a year? That is a good question. I do not know an exact number. I will tell you that I've made appearances throughout Yavapai County in all 5 justice courts. The other 4 are Seligman, Verde, Mayer, and Yarnell. I've been in all of those courts. I've been in town courts or city courts that are not justice courts. Prescott Justice Court is a busy court. It is busy in the mornings. It is busy in the afternoons. Our current judge is Judge Glenn Savona. I know he puts a lot of hours in, and he's successful in the work he does. So I know it's going to be a busy job. And back to, you said you're running on starting a misdemeanor veterans court extensively. Would that be open to all veterans or veterans that are currently in the court system? I mean, would that involve traffic? Would that involve, what does a veterans court and the misdemeanor part of it, what does that entail?
Well, you begin with obviously a veteran and a criminal charge. That is a misdemeanor charge. So the veterans that would be eligible for this would be veterans who are also eligible for VA services. So if you're a veteran, you are not eligible for VA services, you would not be eligible for this court. That's sort of a foundational rule. Then as the veteran, so let's assume that you are eligible for those services, as a veteran, if you have medical issues that are being diagnosed, either have been or are in the process of being diagnosed through the VA for PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, anger management, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, traumatic brain injury, domestic violence in your household. There's 6 categories those that I just mentioned. As a veteran, if you were cited, arrested, and it's for one of those 6, that is rule number 2, to allow you to be considered. Once a veterans court at the criminal misdemeanor level gets established, there actually will be a staffing of cases involving veterans who qualify. And out of that staffing, a determination is made whether to extend an opportunity to the veteran to join the Veterans Court program or just simply go through the court process as anybody else would. If the veteran chooses to go through the process, then this is a many-month program. And that veteran engages with services with the VA, some of our local providers like US Vets, the DAV, the county attorney office here in Yavapai would be involved. If it extended outside of the Justice Court, for example, and the city of Prescott wanted to have a veterans court for their cases, then it would involve the legal department for the city of Prescott. And it's a collaborative effort. And the idea simply is, as a veteran, here's your opportunity. So you've made a mistake, maybe there's underlying issues. Here's your opportunity to help yourself. And if you work a program, you're successful, there is a very good possibility that your charges can be dismissed or lowered depending on the circumstances. And if a veteran were to be in the program and for whatever the reason elected voluntarily or through some other action and was stepped out of the program, they would then still have their charges, but they would go through as a non-veteran.
So this would really be beneficial to the community, as veterans are such an important part of our workforce, as part of our demographics. The ability, if they do have one strike against them or two strikes against them, the ability to go before a justice of the peace who focuses or is going to be focused on a veterans misdemeanor court. This is going to be very big for especially those that employ veterans here in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, they're just like, it's a diversion program. And like any diversion program, the individual that gets offered that opportunity to go into the program, they need to work it. It's not a handout. Veterans Court, just because you're you might hear, you're a veteran, so you get special treatment. Well, you know, the bottom line is, if you're a veteran, if you have worked with veterans or you've been in the military yourself, you have a different understanding of what veterans may have gone through during their service time. I feel very fortunate, as you probably do also, that you got through it. And I know you retired also. So you got through it, you look back, you say, you know, challenging times, but glad I did, wouldn't change a thing. And you move on with life. There's a lot of veterans that they hit that roadblock and they cannot move forward. This is an opportunity to get some assistance. So yes, it's beneficial not only to the veteran, to our employers, to our community as a whole, to law enforcement. I mean, it has a very positive ripple effect.
Outstanding. Well, Mitch, we've got a couple minutes left. Is there anything, we've hit on a lot of topics today, is there anything else you'd like to talk to our listeners about and bring up before we end this segment?
Yes, I think that there's 3 individuals running, myself and 2 others. And I'm going to ask our listeners, viewers, to go to my website, www.electmitchpadilla.com. And on my website, on my homepage, when you land there, there will be information that will differentiate me from my 2 opponents. Very quick read, couple of links, click on them, and I think you will see all you need to see. There's a difference. The justice of the peace, any elected official, I believe, must be ethical, needs to be honest, and have some proven involvement in the community, because it's these people from the community that are going to be standing before you trying to tell their side of the story of what happened. My website, again, www.electmitchpadilla.com. I really ask you to go there. I think you're going to find information that's very helpful.
Well, you bring so much to the table. You're a patriot. You've been in private practice. You've worked for the state. You serve on so many community boards. And now you're running a private practice while running a campaign and still giving back to the community. What an outstanding resume you have, sir.
Oh, well, thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. You've made this very easy talking about yourself. It's not always the easiest thing to do, so thank you.
Well,
I appreciate it.
We want to thank our listeners for listening today to Prescott Talks, and we're happy to have Mitch Padilla, who is running for Justice of the Peace. Thanks for your time, and have a great day.